Hey, if you like this content, hit that subscribe button and join us.
Well, bonjour. Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. You're listening to me, Ethan Van Sciver, grizzled 28-year veteran of the Vichy comic book industry. That's right, I'm the Sergeant Rock of COMICSGATE, everyone. World's most charming, disarming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. A great big Sopranos fan, trusted member of the media. I like that. The Vichy comic book industry, divided in two parts. The larger part occupied and subjugated to radical left-wing activists, also known as SJWs, social bullies, and the smaller portion, the portion that we occupy still, the portion in which we live, is COMICSGATE. And we maintain and cherish our sovereignty as fans and creators, independent, free to do whatever we want to do and say whatever we want to say. And that's an important part of this story here. This is the story of Gabe El Taib. I finally got it right in pronunciation. Thank you, Gabe. And taking a stand against what's going on in comics and sacrificing your job and your income, perhaps. I mean, look, he was working at DC Comics. He had a contract there. He had a steady income, but he just didn't like what was going on. We're going to talk about all of this. I already did a video about this topic earlier today, 30 minutes in length, in which I looked at it from the angle of, hey, the comic book media is corrupt. And we know a thing or two about that, don't we, Gamergate? We share that sentiment in common, that realization, and it's pretty dark. But it is true. Now we're going to perform some kind of a flanking maneuver, and we're going to approach the subject from a different angle, and that is the angle of liberating oneself from this situation. And Gabe El Taib is a hero in that respect, and in other respects too. Before we get to that, I want to remind everyone that, as I mentioned before, the Cyberfrog First Wave action figure campaign. See, this is the great thing about COMICSGATE. We wouldn't be able to do this in any other situation. Most people who are actually working in the comic book industry would dream of creating an independent comic and then being able to have their own action figure line. And an action figure line that looks as nice as this. Look at this. Beautiful, detailed, super articulated, filled with wonderful accessories, trade out heads, swap out heads and hands, a nice honeycomb base and a stand for him. Here's Heather Swain, his friend. Look, she's a warrior. By the way, I added this head here, the smiley face, because SJW said, you're always criticizing our female characters for never smiling. Well, Heather doesn't look so happy. I said, well, I mean, in all fairness to her, the world has ended and it's been dominated by alien hornets. And she's hiding in the woods for her life and has been for 20 years. But there's always something to smile about. So I added this head right here, which I call the Smile More, You Look Prettier head for Heather Swain. So that's added to the action figure as well. This is 90s Cyberfrog here. And right over here to the side, you can see the Vespis action figure. It's enormous. I mean, it really is big in comparison to the other figures. Now, this campaign is ending in 9 days. We're going to close it down. But you still have time to back all of them, back the whole set, back one or two of them, whatever you want to do. They are available here, and I want to thank you because of COMICSGATE, because of people like Gabriel El Taib, who we're going to be discussing. This is all possible. Anything is possible. We can use the internet, we can use crowdfunding, and we can devise other ways to gain and maintain our independence and control our own destinies without having to tolerate what the far radical left wing is doing to comics and pop culture, television, video games, even board games, even bird watching. We did a whole article about how SJWs are ruining the hobby of bird watching. What exactly is next? I can imagine chess. Probably they'll get into chess. But in any case, thank you for joining me and helping to make this possible. Please do back this campaign. Do not miss your action figures. Don't miss Cyberfrog in any way. The links are below in the description. And now let's get over to... Oh, I wanted to save this. This is Gabe's YouTube. I'll just tell you that right up front. Go subscribe to Gabe's YouTube. He's going to start making videos. Okay, so here we go. This is Bounding Into Comics. Also, mostly trusted members of the media. Every now and then they can be garbage tier and misspell things, but for the most part, their heart's in the right place. Superman, son of Kal-El, colorist Gabe El Taib. to exit DC Comics over Superman motto change. He says, quote, "I'm tired of them ruining these characters." Think about that. This is somebody speaking not just as a fan, as somebody who enjoys comic books. This is somebody who depends on paying the bills. This is somebody who pays their bills with these characters. So this is quite a principled stand to take. After learning of DC Comics' recent decision to drop the American way from Superman's classic motto, Superman, son of Kal-El colorist Gabe El Taib. By the way, Gabe, one of the most important and prominent colorists at DC Comics. For those of you who are not comic book fans but are interested in the culture war, welcome, I understand. A comic book artist draws the images in black and white line art. And then we have very gifted colorists who come in and add the colors. Sometimes, by hand with watercolors, but mostly they will break down the colors on paper. They'll do flats, and then they'll go ahead and do beautiful rendered computer digital coloring. And that's what Gabe does. He's very, very good at it. It's not easy. You have to have a good sense of color and how it works, and have an interesting color palette. Be able to understand what colors to use to create the proper mood in any particular scene. And I mean, it's not just as easy as Superman's cape is red, even though here in this image, Superman's cape is red. I don't think Gabe colored this. But in any case, that is the job of a colorist. And you can tell the good ones from the bad ones. I'm working with a fellow named Kyle Ritter who creates wonderful moods. He knows, he has a palette for every particular scene. He's great at scene changes. And it's all in the colors that he chooses for the scenes. Gabe is great. He's going to be doing some work for me too. Gabe left. He's tired of them ruining the characters. How? Appearing on an October 13th YouTube live stream hosted by Cyberfrog Creator. Thank you for calling me Cyberfrog Creator and not former DC Comics artist. I mean, holy cow. That's one of the things that I get to deal with. It's like former DC Comics artist. Well, what about current Cyberfrog creator and COMICSGATE activist? And I do consider myself an activist. I'm fighting for creator rights now. Ethan Van Sciver, that's me, hosting himself a former contracted DC employee. We got to drop that in there. El Taib revealed to the audience, quote, "I'm finishing out my contract with DC. I am tired of this shit. I'm tired of them ruining these characters. They don't have a right to do this." He says, at Comic-Con in 2009, I was pushing Jerry Robinson's wheelchair around. That's the man who invented the Joker. I would work the DC booth back then. I remember bending down to his face and telling him, "Thank you for creating these characters so people like me can waltz in and get a job." It's not about gay or anything else. No, it isn't. It shouldn't be about pushing any kind of a social agenda. It should be about creating entertainment for people. Turning to the specific subject of Superman's motto change, El Taib asserted that what really pissed me off was saying truth, justice, and a better world. F that. It was truth, justice, and the American way. Superman is an avatar. He's an icon. He represents the very best of what Americanism can do. That we are given tremendous powers, of course. I mean, we do have terrific resources. We are blessed as a nation. But it's all about where our hearts are. And Superman represents the very, very best of what an American can be, and thus what America can be. And to deprive the world of Superman saying I fight for truth, justice, and the American way is sad. I think even people from other countries feel that. They feel like America is less unified, more unstable, less proud of itself, less self-assured. And I think that's a very dangerous, and I'll use the word unstable again, message. Now, it's just Superman, people might say. It's just a comic book. It's also a temperature. It's also a gauge of where we stand as a country. When our own characters are, these... how do you describe Superman? I mean, he is America. He represents how we feel about ourselves. He represents our aspirations, our goals. He represents our realization that we have responsibilities to the rest of the world. And that has always been an American thing. That's always been an American trait. We give, we give to the rest of the world, but it is out of Americanism. It's about what our values are. So to see us shying away from that, to see Warner Brothers as a company, another big American film company that's been around for 100 years, to see them shying away from being proud to be Americans is frightening to people. It makes them feel worried for the future, and that is not going to lead to a better tomorrow. A better tomorrow, people say, well, Americanism will lead to a better tomorrow, won't it? Yes, of course, but is that what they mean? Is that what progressives are referring to when they say a better tomorrow? They don't like the way the direction that this country has been headed in. They don't like capitalism. They don't believe in American values. They don't believe in what we stand for and what we've done. They're constantly trying to shame and confront Americans, their fellow Americans, as though they themselves are embarrassed and ashamed of our past. Our past has always been about a better tomorrow. Always. Yeah, we have racism in our past. We have slavery in our past. We push forward away from that, and we do it as Americans, And, a better tomorrow sounds to me like a different direction from Americanism, especially when you replace the phrase "the American way" with "a better tomorrow." It sounds like a left turn to me. Gabe agrees. He says, "My grandpa almost died in World War II. We don't have a right to destroy shit that people died to give for us." I'm sorry about the language. I will not use the F word in these recorded videos, but I will use the S word. It is a bunch of effing nonsense. Here's a nice page of Superman here. This is the new Jonathan Kent Superman. And he's being confronted and lectured. And this is what comics have become. Comics have become the writer injecting himself into one particular character and lecturing another character. That's us, the audience. We're constantly being confronted, lectured, demeaned, told that our values are imperfect or wrong by comic book creators who have no business. They have no business lecturing their readers. None. No business. But they can't resist it. It's irresistible for SJWs. They have a platform. They're going to use it to tell you why they don't like you. All right, so Gabe adds, they call us bigots and racists and shit. I would ask them, find me in the effing mainstream, not on the fringes, one effing book, one effing t-shirt. And I will say Gabe was cursing like crazy because he was angry, and this was a very cathartic moment for him. He'd held all this inside, and he finally decided to just let it go. That says leftism is bad. Find something that suggests that leftism is imperfect. Not just bad, but imperfect. And that conservatism is good. Find it for me. They effing won't. They're not letting people have a voice. And they're the effing bigots. And then he kind of took a breath and he said, sorry. He said, sorry, that's been bottled up for 5 years. And it's been about 5 years since all of these radical changes in comics started taking place. Speaking to El Taib's appearance on his channel, this is me. Gabe just exploded on my live stream. He had a lot to say, a lot of feelings, and a lot of thoughts he wasn't able to share. Why? Because he was working for DC Comics. And this is the trade-off. You know, when you're working for a major corporation, when you are a wage slave, when you belong to somebody else and you're dependent on a machine in order to feed your family, you've got to keep all that stuff inside. You know, when you see them misbehaving, when you see them making changes that aren't good, you cannot criticize them. You've got to go along with it. And even worse, you often have to do press releases that force you to be supportive of these changes. You have to sound enthusiastic. You have to let them know, no, I'm with you guys. Make sure that you please keep giving me work. You know, I have kids. It's awful. So imagine keeping all of this inside and then finally just liberating yourself. He says, and that's, no, and I said, and that's the reality. You cannot come out and be conservative and criticize the company that you work for in this way. You have to be, I'm repeating myself here, you have to be completely supportive of the corporate agenda, whatever it is. And by the way, the corporate agenda is Warner Brothers' agenda, is AT&T's agenda, is now Discovery's agenda. It's not even DC Comics' agenda. So it's not if it's not DC Comics' agenda, it can't even be the creator's agenda. You can't have somebody like Frank Miller come in, and if comics are going to be about politics, and it's okay if some comics do have political messaging. It's okay. We should know that. We know when we pick up The Watchmen, for example. Watchmen is a political book. We're expecting that political message from Alan Moore. We might not be expecting that political message when we pick up a book like Spider-Man. That's not the place for it. Or Venom, or Superman, or Batman. Not really the place for political messages outside of, well, we know what the Batman political message is. Hey, guns are bad. It's when these messages sneak up on you. But it's also, is there room for more than one message? Is there room for messages from different perspectives? And the answer right now is no. There isn't. There is room for one idea, one voice, repeated over and over again in a hectoring, lecturing tone that diminishes readers who disagree with them. It's harmful. It's poison. Absolute poison for creativity, absolute poison for the comic book industry, and absolutely poisonous for business. You have to keep your negative or critical opinions to yourself, and it's so liberating to be able to not work. Imagine not working for a big corporation and being able to say exactly what you think, and I think that's what Gabe is going through here. There is no price that is too high to pay for the right to speak your mind. There isn't. And it's awfully convenient for those who actually agree with the far left-wing radical social justice indoctrination, for people who are supportive of that, to find a place, a safe haven in the comic book industry and actually receive praise, money, support, better jobs, pay increases. It's very convenient for them, and it encourages others to have to adhere to those perspectives and points of view as well. A lot of people don't want to do that. Gabe doesn't want to do that, so Gabe quit. How do you like that? Gabe made the announcement. He said, look, I'm willing to finish my contract out, but I'm out after this. I want to be COMICSGATE. I don't want to color this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this. I want to color my own world. And so I'm so grateful that he did do that. I'm hoping that you guys will, look, he doesn't have any, this channel has no videos. Yeah, not yet. So get on the ground floor. 582 people already have. And I told Gabe today, I said, start making videos, because you're a great speaker. People want to hear what you have to say. You have an incredible perspective. You have a past in comics. You have insider information and knowledge of how comics works. And people need to hear from you. And I think he agreed. And he asked me in turn, please ask people to subscribe to my channel. Please. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to ask you to subscribe to Gabriel, actually. El Taib. It's Beetle, like the Beatles, spelled backwards. Very easy to remember. Gabriel El Taib. Subscribe to his channel, and let's blow his channel up. Let's get him enough subscribers so that maybe he can start introducing himself to you guys, making good videos, letting you know where he's coming from. And I hope he's going to do a crowdfund. I think he is. Until he does, I mean, we'll put him, you can see he used as a banner this David Williams Cyberfrog piece that I had him color. This is the first thing I think that he's colored for me, aside from some pages in the John Malin Art of Cyberfrog book. Anyway, we'll keep him busy. We'll make sure that he's fed and, he's making a living until he's able to do his own crowdfunder. I'm asking you guys to also support him in this. It was a very, very brave thing to stand up and just step off of the Titanic. You just got to do it. I know it's scary, but you got to do it if this is how you feel and if you have something to say. So anyway, thanks for listening. Wow, another 20-minute video out of me. I will not shut up. Thanks a lot. Please do subscribe to my channel as well, and all of my products, my eBay store, everything, all in the description below. If you are missing anything from Cyberfrog, if you haven't read Cyberfrog yet, check the description. I've got an eBay store. I've got maybe 2 or 3 campaigns running right now that you can support. Get in on the ground floor. When you support an Indiegogo campaign, yeah, you have to wait a little bit longer. You're funding a project to come into existence, but you get it cheapest and you get it first. Everybody else has to wait and until you get yours, and they pay more for it secondhand. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you again soon with another video.
Hey, I got a P.O. box. Want to send me some mail? Send it to Ethan Van Sciver, P.O. Box 607, Marlton, New Jersey, 08053. And I'll probably open it up on a live stream. Thanks very much, everyone. Hey, you want to follow me on Twitter? Are you sure? Well, if so, I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. That's at Ethan Van Sciver. See you there.